Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of HRD 633, Leadership in Adult and Higher Education. I want to thank everybody for the discussion that occurred last week, and I would like to specifically thank our moderators and/or discussion leaders. I really appreciate everybody's effort. So welcome to week number 3, and actually week number 3 starts tomorrow, which is on Monday. And before I get going with the video, I wanted to just make sure that everybody knows that I've scheduled an optional Zoom meeting Thursday, February 2nd at 6:30 to 7:15. So once again, an optional Zoom meeting is scheduled for this week, which is Thursday, February 2nd at 6:30 p.m. And I'll show you where the Zoom link is included. So as you can see, we're still in Module 1. I'm going to quickly go down the page. So right here, now we were in Module 2 last week. So now we're in weeks number 3 and 4. I did want to mention something to everybody. The group summaries, there's group summaries from last week. You can take a look at it, but what's most important is you actively participating in your groups. This is what I would consider optional, but if you're interested in just an overall summary and some additional notes, please take a look at that. So in weeks 3 and 4, we're going to be covering these particular topics. As you can see, week 4, which is next week, not this week, we will have a group discussion once again. But once again, there's no group discussion this week. So let's just get through the materials. I'll show you what's involved. And as you can see, everything is open for this week. I'm going to click on the human resource frame. So in these next 2 weeks, we're going to be studying this frame. And, I say we'll take 2 weeks for this topic because there's additional topics to consider. So in week 3, we worked through most of the content, the readings, the complete strengths assessment, and I left strength assessment in there. Some of you may have done this assessment at USM or other workplaces. This could also be intertwined, or I could have substituted leadership assessment. We are not using the Strengths Finder. We're using another instrument, and I'll show you what's involved with that. And as I say, the online discussion will take place in week number 4. So the essential questions, which is similar to last week with a different frame. How does the human resource frame influence and inform an organization? The course outcomes. To do, explore the concepts. There's content pages in here. Evaluate your leadership strength. So this involves taking a 30-question test. And it's not a test, it's really an assessment. And this is something that I've used in the workplace. I've used numerous times, but it will give you an idea of kind of what are your tendency, what are your strengths and maybe your weaknesses. And I want to say, from my standpoint, yes, there may be things that you consider a strength or weakness that aren't necessarily so. So take a look at, I'd like you to take the test, and specifically what you're going to see when you go to the test is this. So there's 30 questions. I wouldn't overthink these questions. For those that have done Myers-Briggs, you might have done Kolb Learning Style Inventory. There's all kinds of inventories and assessments out there. This is pretty straightforward. Read the question, click on the Likert scale, come down to the bottom, you continue, which will take you to the next 10 questions. There's 30 questions. When you're finished, you hit end, and you will get an assessment of kind of what your traits, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. And once again, I want to stress, there's no right or wrong answer here. I remember doing one, and basically it said I was an emotional leader. Well, you can look at that a couple ways. I'm an emotional person. If overly emotional could present problems, or I could react in a certain way. But on the flip side, those are some good traits. So this is for you. I'm not going to, specifically ask you to share anything about your own assessment. We will discuss this next week, but for this week, that's part of what I'm asking everybody to do. Okay, so you take the test, and just a word of warning, sometimes this doesn't directly take you out, so you might have to copy and paste this into your browser, and it will take you to the actual test. I'd like you to read chapters 6 through 8 in Reframing Organizations. Online discussion will happen in week 4, not week 3. And down here, attend a HRD 633 optional Zoom meeting on February 2nd at 6:30. And here's the direct link to that. So that is it as far as this area. I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you where some additional information that I make reference to are located. So once again, come down here, structural frame. Well, that's week number 2, I apologize. Week 3, the human resource frame. The Zoom meeting, you can click on this and it will give you all this specific information. Actually, the formal invite, I'll click on that. You can see the formal invite. So here's the formal invitation, all kinds of information, but the most important thing is right here. This isn't password protected. If you have any question on Thursday, you have trouble getting on, please, you can shoot me a text and I will try to fix the problem at the time. If you can't make this meeting, don't worry. I will record that and I'll post that on Friday. And it might even be posted later on Thursday. So let's go back. Now we're in week 3. I'm going to click on this, hiring, retaining and motivating employees. This is a really big topic, especially in today's work environment. There's all kinds of, I was talking to my son-in-law the other day, and he's a firefighter in the town of Brunswick, Maine, and they just cannot hire people. And we will get into maybe some of the reasons as we move through the course. But I attended a talk by the superintendent in Yarmouth School District in Yarmouth, Maine. For those that don't know about the school districts around the state and or you're beyond the borders of Maine, Yarmouth is one of the top school districts on many levels. And I went to a talk of his called The Trust Imperative, and it really had to do with educational leadership. And from his 30 years of experience, it's an excellent book. For anybody that's interested in it, shoot me an email and I'd be happy to give you the link to purchasing this book. But he described, and one thing that really struck me was the primary reason people leave jobs is because they don't have trust in their leaders. And that directly ties to retaining and motivating employees. You don't have trust, you're going to have a hard time doing it. So information here on the hiring process, onboarding, which means what do you do when somebody's brand new? Onboarding has been a fascination of mine. How do you bring somebody in from another culture, another environment, where the cultural environment of company A is different than company B, where they're hiring on? And it's really interesting because the culture of one organization may be similar, but it might be totally different. And in certain cases, the onboarding portion, you can go through the nuts and the bolts. What are the policies? What are the procedures? But it's that cultural side that creates a lot of challenges. Leading and retaining employees, some links down here, and some questions. You don't need to, ask several friends, family this week what motivates them at work. Okay, that is available. I'm going to go to the next one. Trust, interpersonal skills, ethics, and the same thing. Here's where the additional materials are located that I make reference to. Okay, let me go back. Now we've covered everything in week number 3. Week number 4, I'll have a video next weekend, but we will be doing some small group work once again. You'll be in the same groups, and I will discuss that next week. If you have any question, please let me know. I'm here to help, and I hope to see people. From my experience, we have 18 people in this class, and we may get a handful. We may get 4 or 5 people. I rarely get a huge turnout for these optional Zoom meetings, and that's fine. This is an asynchronous class. It is, nobody has to show up at any time for, just say, a live lecture. It's up to you when you access the material. So some courses mandate a Zoom meeting, and I will not go down that path because, once again, these are optional meetings. If you can't make it, I'll record it, and it will be posted on Friday. So I hope you have a wonderful week, everybody. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on this week. If you have any problems with the links, and or if a link doesn't work, please shoot me an email, because they all work on my machine, but sometimes I have the materials internal, they're on my hard drive, and I don't know that the link doesn't work. So if you see something that doesn't work, don't be shy, let me know. I kid with many people, some of my colleagues, or a lot of my colleagues, and I say, the beauty, and I really mean this as a compliment to all students, the beauty is people and the students in my classes always let me know when I screw up with something or I make a mistake. I don't say that as a negative. I think that as a real positive thing. I am human. So let me know if I can help, and we'll see everybody online. Bye.